We've been looking at some of the myths that surround forgiveness, because forgiveness isn't necessarily an easy thing. It actually brings up a lot of emotion and pain that we hold on to. And that's one of the things that I've often said is, in sessions that I've been helping people come to resolve the conflicts of their heart or the pain or the hurt, they'll often say, but I don't feel like forgiving. Well, if you're holding that much bitterness, that much hatred or resentment towards someone, you're never going to feel like forgiving. In fact, you're going to continually be in that place of unforgiveness. You see, forgiveness is not a feeling, it's a choice. And you see, the moment you begin to make a choice to forgive, the moment you begin to say, I don't need that apology, I don't need that vindication, I don't need justice for what's happened, but I'm simply letting it go. When you begin to make that choice to let go of that judgment, then all of a sudden, those feelings of anger and bitterness and resentment can then begin to be dealt with. And the moment you can let that out, that's the moment you'll come into God's perfect peace for your life. It's, like I said, forgiveness is not about other people, it's about you. And so if you're waiting to feel like forgiving, well, it's not going to happen. Another myth that surrounds unforgiveness actually is about people who say, look, I've forgiven and I've forgiven, I don't feel any different. It hasn't changed anything. When you begin to understand the process of forgiveness, sometimes it's not just a one-off thing, it's a daily process. There's a story in the scripture where Simon Peter comes to Jesus. I think he's trying to be clever, and he's been thinking how to impress Jesus. And so he knew that 7 was the perfect number in Hebrew culture. So he goes to Jesus and says, Jesus, how many times should I forgive my brother? 7 times? And Jesus just looks at him, and he's probably shaking his head, and he's saying, no, Simon, not 7 times, 70 times 7. And all of a sudden, I think Simon Peter's thinking, 70 times 7, what does that mean? I'm no good at math. And he goes to Levi the tax collector and says, what's 70 times 7? And he says, 490. And so imagine that God just forgives you 490 times. If that was the case, I'd probably be going to hell by the age of 4. You see, forgiveness is not just a one-off thing. It's sometimes we have to continue to forgive. Remember, it's not about what's happening with the other person. It's actually about what's happening in your heart. And so forgiveness is not an action. It's a lifestyle. It's actually something that we want to keep short accounts with people. We want to be able to not hold resentment so that we can walk in perfect peace and joy and harmony with our own lives. And so these two myths, that forgiveness is a feeling or that forgiveness doesn't work because I've done it again, it's not true. You see, forgiveness is that choice, and that choice means that once you forgive, you keep forgiving, and you keep forgiving, and you keep forgiving. It's not 490 times. It's a lifestyle of eternity. This is Steve Chua.